Have you ever wondered how your sales performance compares against your competitors and peers? The B2B Sales Benchmark Report provides the definitive guide to what success looks like in 2021. See how you compare in terms of win rate, sales cycle, average deal value, relationships, and engagement. You can see the results and get the full report at ebster.com/B2B-sales-benchmarks. This is Sales Ops Demystified, the #1 most downloaded podcast in sales operations. We invite the brightest minds in sales operations onto the show to deconstruct the why, what, and how behind rep productivity, forecasting, metrics, and all things revenue. This podcast is brought to you by Ebster, the leading customer engagement platform for Salesforce. Welcome to another very special episode of Sales Ops Demystified. We're joined by Kory Geyer of 6sense. Now, Kory is someone who has very extensive experience across sales operations and now revenue operations at companies such as Aperio, if I'm saying that right.
You got it.
So between close to 5 years there running sales operations, and now more recently at 6sense. So let's dig into this. And Kory, how did you originally get into sales operations?
Yeah, definitely, Tom. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for having me. I think this is such a great forum. It's so easy to find podcasts on sales and how to be a good sales rep, how to be a good sales manager. It's very difficult to find good podcasts on people that support sales, such as this. So thanks for putting this together. So I spent the first 13 years of my career in IT consulting. Various roles, carrying a bag, sales management, running a practice, actually being a consultant. So all kinds of different roles inside of IT consulting. So I definitely knew that business. And then at Aperio, which is now owned by Wipro, and they're a large kind of top Salesforce consulting firm. They were looking to build a sales ops and enablement function. And while I didn't have any direct experience, they liked my background in both sales and in consulting. And so they gave me a chance, and kind of the rest is history.
Awesome. So that was a new role that you joined. You weren't working there before. They were recruiting, liked the fact that you had sales background and that you had this business experience, and thought that was a good combination to bring you in.
Yeah, they were new to sales operations enablement. They didn't have a formal function like many growing organizations. They're doing it in pockets across finance and marketing and other roles. And so, they liked the fact that I could kind of work cross-functional because I knew the business so well.
Got it. And then, because you were there for nearly 5 years, right?
That's correct. Yep.
So there were 0 people in the sales ops team when you joined, and then when you left, how many people in the operations sales ops team, and then how many reps or AEs were you supporting?
Yeah, at Aperio, when I left, there was 9 people in sales operations and enablement. We had kind of 2 people dedicated mostly on enablement, and then the other 6 people kind of focused on operations, kind of crossing the line a little bit into marketing ops in the sense of sourcing a lot of different marketing data, helping to maintain data. That was across 80 quota reps. And then we also had in consulting, you have a role that's kind of focused on account management that's paired up with the reps too that also carry quota. So altogether about 120 people.
Nice. And then the move to 6sense, was that advertised as a revenue operations role? Or it was? Okay, cool. So what's your rationale in shifting from sales operations to revenue operations?
Well, I think if you watch what's going on, whether you want to call it sales operations, marketing ops, rev ops, rev acceleration, I think is the new term I'm hearing now, that there's definitely going to be a blend across the entire revenue cycle. And so especially in the B2B space, when you think about being very account-based, which is all what 6sense does. We have a platform for account-based sales and marketing that, it's a very gray area when it comes to what is sales versus what's marketing, what's success. And so it just kind of logically made sense. We are also starting to function, whether you want to call it sales operations or RevOps, we're starting to function. I report to the head of sales. And that was kind of by design because we have, doing a lot of onboarding, doing a lot of ramping. We want to build a lot of systems, sales productivity type systems. The person that helped hire me was my former boss at Aperio, who's our CMO. So, there's definitely a tie there. Mm-hmm. And then we don't have an official revenue officer, CRO, today. So, we're small, we're a highly collaborative team. And so I report to head of sales, have dotted line to marketing, as well as a dotted line to head of customer success as well. So it just kind of makes sense logically. We had a couple other people that do support kind of digital and demand and marketing ops that are starting to fold and roll under me.
Got it. And how many people in the ops team versus how many reps? Again, same question.
Up until 2 months ago, it was just myself and a contractor, kind of tech support. Now I recently hired 2 additional people, one person to focus on enablement. We're doing lots of onboarding. So he's highly focused on onboarding both BDRs as well as AEs. And then a second person to really focus on the tech stack. And we have open roles. We're hiring more. In terms of reps, we have 20 quota carrying AEs that are out in the field today. When I started, that was 9 people. So we've over doubled that in 8 or 9 months. And then we have obviously our customer success team as well as pre-sales altogether. It's about 40, 45 people. And then we are, hiring as fast as we can, looking for good talent. So a little bit of advertisement, but we're looking to double all those roles really in the next 12 months.
Got it. And you mentioned we have a resource focused on tech stack. Could you quickly outline the 6sense approach to sales technology?
Yeah, well, how much time do you have? We have lots of tech. So, we're a B2B SaaS company, so we like our technology. We are Salesforce Sales Cloud for kind of all things sales. We have built a custom Salesforce app for customer success management. And so that's managing all of our customer adoption plans and our use case management, things like that. We heavily use our own platform, 6sense. And so just to break that down quickly, territory planning, when we hire a new rep, trying to figure out what are the right accounts to go after. That's 6sense. All the firmographics that we're doing kind of programmatic contact buys as part of a large, sales or marketing campaign. We do that as well. Display ads, falls under 6sense. And then all of the kind of account intent segmentation that we're doing is 6sense. Sales intelligence, kind of notifying sales, letting them know what's going on inside that account. And then also all the sales orchestrations, kind of getting all that intent that's going on and then, sending that over to like a sales loft. We use sales loft to be able to kick off cadences as well for BDRs and AEs. So that's 6sense. Mentioned sales loft. We're using that for prospecting and outreach, kind of running all those cadences. We do have Seamless, if you've heard of Seamless, .ai for kind of one-off contact research at the BDR level. We're looking into other solutions for that as well. LinkedIn Sales Nav, I think that's kind of a table stakes anymore. Gong, we have Gong. Gong, by the way, was probably one of the easiest adoptions I've ever got. That's another side story, but had a lot of success with Gong for recording and kind of enablement and coaching. We just implemented Lessonly for sales learning management, kind of onboarding, tracking, coaching, all inside of a learning management system. We do have a tool called MediaFly that's an ROI calculation, kind of a value story tool. We also are in the process of implementing Uberflip, Lean Data, and Salesforce CPQ. So I told you, how long do you have? At the end of the day, we're a very our sales leadership team really understands the value of technology. So a lot of it comes down to what's the highest priority need, and really making sure there's a strong sponsorship there. for this technology stack, both on the management side as well as the rep side. Early on during the evaluation process of these technologies, and as well as even kind of piloting early on. So we look at lots of different technology. We'll mention that looking forward, we are starting to explore like how can we get more disciplined around deal management, deal health, kind of deal analytics, kind of strategic account planning, things like that. So that's kind of in the horizon. 3 to 6 months out, we're starting to look at those types of solutions.
Got it. A very comprehensive tech stack. Moving on to data quality, is that, I assume that fits with your team, so data quality and Salesforce. What are you currently doing to maintain or improve the data you have in the CRM?
Well, we built quite a culture around data hygiene at the sales level. We have the luxury of our own platform because, we are a data company. We're kind of a big data and AI company. And so all of our reps, when they're interviewed, they understand the value of data. That kind of starts at the account and contact level, trying to help maintain that data. So that's the first and foremost thing. I think you've had other people on your podcast that really talk about the importance of that, and I would totally agree. Also, then, kind of from a back end standpoint, we do have a tool. There's lots of tools out there, but we use Cloud Dingo for kind of account merging and converting leads and that type of thing. We are also in the process of trying to figure out, get a data team going. And so, whether that is a full-time kind of data analyst we hire internally, there's other solutions out there. There's a company called DataBees that we're researching that has kind of a whole, set of data analysts out there that you can kind of hire on demand. So that is also something we're looking at from kind of the back end standpoint.
Got it. And then moving on to, I really like what you said about building the culture around data hygiene. Moving on to the way you work with the sales team. And I guess the question is, how are you able to build the culture and incentivize the sales team to do that work, which could be viewed as for you, not necessarily for them?
Yeah, this is what I like to do is really get the actual rep to be involved in the evaluation process. And so I'll pick on Gong only because that is, I mentioned that one earlier, but when we were evaluating that, there's lots of different solutions when you look at kind of recording and enablement solutions of recording those calls. And Gong made it very easy to kind of demo to all the reps. We stood up a pilot. And in fact, when we ran this pilot for 30 days, all before any type of contracts getting signed, we had our sales reps coming back to us saying, we cannot turn this off.
Really?
So I think I realize that's, maybe exception to the rule. It's hard to get that with a lot of solutions. But if you think forward to something that reps hate, like configure, price, quote, building estimates, all that stuff, when we're looking at rolling that out, we're going to take a similar approach. So trying to really get a couple reps that are senior reps, reps that are really liked in the organization, and trying to get them to actually help deliver the training, help talk about why they're excited about this solution. So that's first and foremost. The other thing I would say is constant communication. We have the luxury that we hold all sales hand calls every single Monday. And so we're always doing a little bit of a showcase into a given process or a given technology that we think needs more attention, as well as always sending out Slack updates. So here's a good example of how a rep got benefit out of using this solution. So just kind of that constant drip of communication.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then what are we doing to make the reps more productive at the moment?
Well, we're I mentioned that we're really trying to onboard lots of reps. So maybe we start there with just onboarding. And we are in the process of building out kind of a comprehensive 12-week, typical 12-week type onboarding program. A lot of that does involve self-paced training. So we've taken a lot of content that we've created really in the last 6 months, various boot camps we've held and those weekly calls we've held where we just record them. And we're chunking those up into self-paced learning content that reps go through, as well as making sure we kind of have clear milestones. So at this point, we want you to do role play and certification on this topic, or have this many calls reviewed by your manager. So really identifying kind of clear milestones, most importantly, getting those tracked. So that way their manager is reminded, hey, it's time to do A, B, and C. And so we found that really it's that manager interaction that we can kind of help facilitate and enablement that really drives the best productivity.
Got it. And yeah, I think that's super. It's like you're giving the tools to the manager to help improve the productivity. Yeah, that's a nice. Obviously, if the team scales, it's going to be hard for the sales ops team to improve the productivity of 50 or so reps. So that's a really nice point. Can we quickly talk about forecasting? What is the forecasting process at the moment, and what is the sales ops team role in that process?
Yeah, we have 3 different sales teams, field teams. They meet weekly as a team, led by their manager. And it's really the manager's responsibility to kind of trust that data that's getting entered into the forecast. We use Salesforce Collaborative Forecasting as a solution. And the manager does have the opportunity to provide their own override from a week-to-week standpoint. And then we do meet the following Monday as a leadership team to review that and kind of challenge each other. That is, the current quarter. We're starting to look at, for future quarters, how we can actually just be more predictive from a pure data standpoint. We had a lot of success in doing this at Aperio, where we would kind of triangulate things like pipe coverage that we have for that period, quota coverage, attainment rates, and kind of triangulate different metrics like that to come up and predict within, plus and minus 20% a future quarter. Because oftentimes it's hard to rely directly on the deal data for future periods.
Got it. And then next, I want to talk about the KPIs that you're measuring. And actually, the question I'd like to ask is, from your extensive experience in sales ops, what has been a really valuable or insightful metric?
Yeah, there's been some really good ones. I've listened to a lot of the podcasts from other guests you've had, some really, really good ones. I love the one that we're not doing this today, but I love the one where a gentleman you had on was talking about measuring the individual attainment rates by reps at the manager level. The count of reps that have hit. That was great. Great insight. One big one that we're focused on, that we're seeing a lot of value on from a ramped rep perspective, okay, is deal velocity.
Cool.
And so we've done a lot of analysis on our various stages. We have a methodology similar to like MEDIC. And so we sit there and say, okay, from stage 0 all the way up to stage 2, which is qualified, we know that the best deals go through in X amount of days, and then each stage on forward. So we can track all that. We actually put that directly into the forecast app. So when you're looking at that deal, you can actually have the manager analyze that, as well as we're notifying reps when deals, quote unquote, become at risk purely off velocity. So you can imagine it'd be even more powerful if you would combine that plus like relationship health, like activity flow back and forth, would start to get really powerful.
Got it. So you're saying that the manager during the forecasting meeting can see the velocity of each deal in the forecast, and therefore ask questions based on the fact that if a deal hasn't got to stage 2 in 7 days, then it's unlikely to get to stage 3.
That's right. That's correct. Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, and just to mention one or two on the onboarding side too, because that is really important for us. I think a lot of companies that are growing right now is another guest you had on talked about some onboarding metrics. A couple that we closely like to watch is time to first deal that they source. The key part of that is that they source, because obviously a rep could come in that's replacing a recent termed rep, take on some active deal cycles, and they can close those pretty quickly, and they're already halfway down the cycle. So, a deal that they actually source themselves, it's net new. And then the second metric is the time it takes them to reach to their fully ramped quota for that first quarter. So, take a simple example. Let's say a fully ramped quota for a rep is 100K. How long does it take them to get to 100K? And, when you combine those two metrics, kind of average them out, that's a good way to look at ramp time.
Got it. And so so you can then take all of the ramping reps and then rank them, I guess, by those two metrics. And then these people here may need a bit more work on. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, cool. So final question. Who in the sales ops or revenue ops world has inspired you or taught you the most?
Yeah, well, I would say in terms of really helping me understand the space and really take the time and patience to kind of coach me is Chris Heineken. Chris was head of sales at Aperio. He's also the guy that took a chance on me. Chris really taught me that you really need to make everything simple. Us folks in operation, we like to get into the nitty gritty and everything else. And Chris is really an expert at when it comes time to communicate and try to get adoption, make it as simple as possible. And he was always working with me on that. And Chris has now went on to start his own company after Aperio and having a lot of success. I would also say probably moving forward, I'm really interested in just all the kind of innovation that's happening around enablement and productivity. And a couple of leaders I think that are in that space that I closely follow that I'd love to get FaceTime with is a guy like Kory Geyer. He's wrote lots of books and has lots of content on enablement, as well as Eli Cohen, Saleshood, book. And, he has a whole company around enablement at this point.
Fantastic. Well, let me pick out a few things. I think it might have been the first time we heard the words culture around data or culture of data quality or data hygiene. And I think that really sums up what the majority of people's answers to that question about how how everybody's responsible for data quality, right? And you do that by having this culture or this belief that everybody has to do that. So I like that little point. Including reps in procurement of new tools, because when you then get them, they've been brought into the process from the start. And then the final point was about having, instead of potentially trying to improve reps' individual productivity, give the managers or equip the managers with the tools to facilitate the productivity for their reps. I think that's a powerful strategy as well. So, Kory, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sales Ops Demystified podcast. If you are listening on a podcast listening application, then please subscribe, rate, and review. And if you have any questions about the show, if you know a guest, or if you have any questions about sales operations, just hit me up at tomhunt@ebster.com. That's tomhunt@ebster.com.